Doobie 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 doobie. Oh, hey everyone! Today on the show, I would like to introduce you to a very special new friend of mine. It's the Lomo LC-A camera. Intro. So, the Lomo LC-A, the camera that started what is called lomography. So what's the deal with the Lomo LC-A? Well, it's a compact camera. As you can see, it's pretty small, but it's surprisingly well made and sturdy and somewhat heavy, actually. It doesn't come with a neck strap, but instead it has this little wrist strap thingy, which I guess is fine for keeping it from falling on the ground, although it would be nice to have some sort of a neck strap. This is a camera that I have been wanting for many years, and I finally, a while back, bought one off of eBay, and much to my sadness, it did not work when I got it. So, also through eBay, interestingly enough, I was able to find someone who fixes these overseas for a relatively reasonable price. So I spent the money, sent it overseas, got it fixed, it came back, and now it actually works. And I am actually quite happy with it, and I'm really glad that I got it fixed. I will actually leave a link in the description if you have a Lomo LC-A and you want to get it fixed. The way you open up the lens and turn the camera on is there's a little switchy thing on the bottom, and you just go whoop, and it just goes whoop, whoop, whoop. It has two controls on the sides. One of them is for focusing. It uses what's called zone focusing, and it has, unfortunately it's in meters because this is a Russian camera, but it has, the first one is a little yellow rectangle that says 0.8. It's 3 feet. The next one would be 1.5, and that one would be 4.5 feet. The next one is 3, and that one would be 9 feet, and then the last one is green, and it has an infinity symbol, and that's infinity. So that's basically the zone focusing. There's also, interestingly enough, there's also an aperture control on the side, but it basically, if you use the aperture control, it's mostly for use with the hot shoe with a flash. But if you use the aperture control, it will change your aperture, but it fixes the shutter speed to, I think, 1/60th of a second. So if you keep it in auto, which is the bottom one, the little A, it will pick the aperture for you, and it will keep the shutter open for as long as it needs to take in enough light to expose the image, and then it will close. But if you flip this up, it'll fix your shutter speed to 1/60th of a second. So it could be cool if you want to make sure that the aperture is wide open and you don't mind the 1/60th of a second and you know it'll be exposed okay. But it's, you know, it's a thing. It has the little viewfinder which you're looking through right here, and the lens is right underneath. So unlike cameras where the viewfinder is kind of off to the side, what you see is actually pretty close to what you get. For the most part, I've actually been pleasantly surprised how the framing it lines up pretty good, actually. There's a little dial up here that you turn in order to change your ISO, and the ISO range is from ISO 25 up to ISO 400. The lens, it's called a Minotaur 1. There was no Minotaur 2. There was no, it's the only one like it. There was no other follow-up or anything. It gives you kind of, like, the center of the image tends to be pretty sharp, but then around kind of the edges, it tends to kind of blur out a little bit more if your aperture is wide open. It's not like extremely blurry, but it's kind of subtle, but it's still a very interesting effect. Also, the coatings on the lens kind of make the colors a little bit more colorful, but not in the extreme. It's not like you're gonna take a picture and go, holy crap, you know, my colors are exploding, but it's still, it helps a little bit. It has that little bit of an effect. The Lomo LC-A does need batteries in order to function. If you don't have batteries in it, the shutter will not fire. Fortunately, it takes 3 LR44 batteries, which are very, very readily available. You can do multiple exposures with the original LC-A by After you take a picture, you hold down the film rewind switch, and then you keep that held down while you wind on the film. I did attempt to do this with my very first roll, and it didn't really work. It did work insofar as some of the exposures did overlap, but it wasn't exact. Like, it did move the film a little bit, so it was kind of offset. So it wasn't really exactly what I wanted, and it was kind of frustrating because I was hoping that that would work a little bit better. Let me give you a little bit of a history on this little guy. From the Lomo book, the Lomo LC-A book that was made by Lomography. It has lots and lots of cool pictures in it taken by the camera, and it also has a lot of really cool information. It's actually based on a Japanese camera called the Cosina CX2. It came out in 1984 in Russia. It's a Russian camera. In 1991, that was when a bunch of art students from Vienna went to Russia and accidentally kind of discovered this camera, started playing with it, and when they saw the results, they were actually kind of surprised because it gives you some... It's just a unique camera. It's interesting. It gives you interesting results. Production of the original Lomo LC-A in Russia ceased in 1994, and according to Wikipedia, in the mid-1990s, a group of enthusiasts from Vienna persuaded Lomo to restart production, which continued until 2005. The Lomo LC-A's replacement, the Lomo LC-A Plus, was introduced in 2006, and production was moved to China. So Lomography, the company, does make the Lomo LC-A Plus, and it's a little bit different. It has a few little features that the original didn't have. It has like multiple exposure switch, and it's just slightly different. I've only used the original Lomo LC-A, the one that I bought off eBay that I got fixed. I was able to find a really cool little camera bag that makes it, that's very, very portable. And it has this front pouch right here and the back pouch where I put the camera. And it's big enough to where I can actually put additional film in the little back here. And the front part, it's really cool, is big enough that I can put in the Lomography Color Splash Flash, which is really, really cool to use and fun. And I like using it with the LC-A. They make a great team. What you do with the Color Splash Flash is it has little gels in it, and you can actually turn the little gel holder thing and get different colored gels. And then it's good for multiple exposures and things like that, which obviously is hard to do on this camera, but it's just really fun. In there, I have a blue gel in there, a red gel, a yellow gel, and a green gel. You can just take one out so you have just a regular flash, and then the other ones are just colored, but I just really like to use the colored gels. I just think it's really fun. Another thing that I got for my LC-A is the Lomography Tunnel Vision lens. It has a magnetic back to it, so it kind of stays on the front of the camera, but it also has this safety strap, which is actually really good because the magnet doesn't really stay very good. As long as you're holding the camera pretty still, it'll somewhat stay on there, but you definitely want to use this too, because it will fall off and you go, you don't want to break your lens. It amplifies sort of the effect that the Minotaur one has anyway, which is to give you sharp in the very center, but then very blurry around the edges, but obviously it's extreme. The tunnel vision lens amplifies what the camera already kind of does, but does it way more exaggerated. And I love exaggeration, so yeah. On the front of this little pouch that I got, I put this really cool patch on it, and it has the Grim Reaper holding some 35mm film, and he's saying, "It won't die!" Because he doesn't know why it won't die. He doesn't understand. He's like, "Why won't it die? I thought it would have died by now." I'm sorry, Grim Reaper, but film is still around. Not as much as it was before, but it's still around. This patch is actually really cool because it glows in the dark, and I will put a link in the description for where you can get these awesome patches. I love this patch. It's so cool. I figured it would be great for my Lomo LC-A pouch. Let me show you some pictures that I have taken with my Lomo LC-A. Lomography actually does make a version of the Minotaur 1 lens that you can actually use on a digital camera, but unfortunately it's extremely expensive, and so I don't have one. Do I want to get one? Yes, I do. So yeah, I love this little camera. I'm really glad that I got it, and I would definitely suggest it to anyone who enjoys photography, who just enjoys experimenting with photography and trying something that's a little bit different. Because it can give you, completely normal looking pictures, or it can give you some really interesting and strange pictures, kind of depending on how you use it for the most part. But it's really fun. I really enjoyed this camera, and I'm really glad I was able to get it, and I'm really glad I was able to find somebody who was able to fix it for me. Yeah. So, thanks for joining me today. Find me on the internets. I'm all over the damn internets. I'm on the Facebook, the Twitter, the Tumblr, the Instagram, the DeviantArt. I'm all over. I'm all over the internets. So yeah, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.